Welcome to the eClinicalWorks podcast. I am your host, Marzia Fatimah. On today's episode, we will talk about eClinicalWorks Rheumatology module, and this will be a series, so keep an eye out for more episodes to come on the Rheumatology module. Here with me on podcast today is Archana Sampath, who is the lead product analyst for Rheumatology module. Archana, thank you so much for joining us at the podcast today.
Hi, Marzia. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
So Archie, tell me a little bit about this module and who is this module designed for?
So this module allows for users to document any joint conditions on their patient's progress note. So this can be used by rheumatologists, orthopedicians, as well as physical therapists. But in my opinion, since this allows for joint documentation, any provider that's interested in such documentation on their progress note can use this module.
Great. So how can the providers use this new rheumatology module?
All right, so once you are set up, you will start seeing the homunculus examination hyperlink on your progress note. When you click on the hyperlink, that's when you will see the rheumatology module.
All right, could you show us a little bit about this and how it works, how the providers would be able to document within this module?
Definitely. So once you click on the hyperlink and the window opens, you will see a specific layout. So the layout is that on the left-hand side, you will see the two-dimensional stick figure with all the joints blown up. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a similar joint structure, but in a tabular format with all the conditions set as columns. In order to start documentation, you would start clicking on the joints. So you could either click one joint at a time, or you can continue selecting all the joints that you want to document a condition for. You could also click and drag on this figure, so it would select all the joints within that little gray box, or you could select from a preset option from this drop-down list. Once you're done with all your joint selections, you will see the center section becoming active. So these are where all your conditions will be displayed. By default, there'll be 4 conditions that will be provided to you. Those are swelling, tenderness, normal, and replaced. Any condition outside of these 4, you can configure for your practice. All conditions are configurable. So I'm going to select a condition, say swelling. I'm going to set a value of moderate for those joints, and then I'm going to click on Save to Table. The moment I click on Save to Table, the documentation gets saved on the table, and there's a visual indication on the two-dimensional figure. If you hover over the shaded part, you will see the condition as well as the value. To go back to the pre-configured joints, so I'm going to click on the joints again. So let's talk about replaced. So let's say you have a patient who comes into your office and they've had hip replacement surgeries. So you could select the hip joints, click on replaced, say yes, save to table. You will see an R inside that joint indicating that those joints have been replaced. An alternate way of documentation is using the table. So you could either click in an already documented cell and change the value. Or if you want to add new values, again, just click inside the empty cell. And based on the configurations that you've done, you can select from a drop-down, you could set a number, or you could just free type a value. Once you're done with the table documentation, you'll click on the Save button and all the documentation saves. We also have disease activity calculators. So you click on this band below, and that would open our disease activity calculators. At this point, we have the CDAI and the DAS calculators available. So if you want to calculate, say, a DAS 28 score, all you have to do is put in the values, and the system will automatically calculate the DAS 28 score and will also provide you an interpretation of the calculated score. We have the Import from Last Visit button. So when you enter the homunculus examination window for today's visit, it will be blank. So when you click on import from last visit, whatever documentation you had done in the previous visit will get copied over to today's visit. We have global notes where you can just type your observations about this examination. Once you are done with all the documentation, you can either X out of this window or just navigate to different sections of the progress note. So I'm going to X out of this window. And only those documentations added to that homunculus examination window will show on the progress note, along with the calculations. The system also saves the two-dimensional stick figure into patient docs.
Looks like an amazing tool, Archana. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing tool, which looks very user-friendly as well. Could you tell us how the practices can enable this module and if there is any cost associated with it?
That's a great question, Marzia. So this module can be activated by enabling an item key. The item key ID is 3760_VAB. All practices have to do is log in a support case requesting to enable this item key. And once it's enabled, they'll start seeing the homunculus examination hyperlink on their progress note. And to answer your second question, this module does not have any cost associated with it. Enabling the item key will automatically display the hyperlink on their progress note.
That's amazing. And are there any user guides or training material available for the practices who start using this module?
Absolutely. So there are both user guides as well as training material available. All practices have to do is go to their eClinicalWorks.com. In the search bar, just type rheumatology, and then the search results will show all the material available to them.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Archana. Don't forget to like our video and watch other podcasts on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, YouTube, or eClinicalWorks.com. From eClinicalWorks podcast team, this is Marzia Fatimah. Thank you for watching.